We turn now to White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan. Good morning to you, Jake. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
President Zelensky told us that if this annexation happens, it will make diplomatic talks with Vladimir Putin impossible. They need artillery in Ukraine, he says, more air defense systems and tanks. Will they get it? And how significant of an escalation is this?
Well, Margaret, not only will they get it, but they've been getting it. The United States at this point alone has provided more than $15 billion in weapons, and that's included air defense systems, hundreds of artillery pieces, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of rounds of artillery. And we facilitated the transfer of tanks from NATO allies who have the Soviet-era tanks that the Ukrainians have trained on. We will continue to do all of that. And what Putin has done is not exactly a sign of strength or confidence. Frankly, it's a sign that they're struggling badly on the Russian side. And we're going to help the Ukrainians be able to take advantage of the gains they've made and to continue to push back against the Russian forces that are brutally occupying portions of their country.
Yesterday, Putin replaced one of the top logistics generals with a man who's known as the butcher of Mariupol. Are we seeing the beginning of the collapse of the Russian army?
I think it's too soon to make comprehensive predictions like that. I think what we are seeing are signs of unbelievable struggle among the Russians. You've got low morale where the soldiers don't want to fight. And who can blame them? Because they want no part of Putin's war of conquest in their neighboring country. You've got Russia having depleted its stores of precision-guided munitions. You've got Russia disorganized and losing territory to a capable Ukrainian force. And you've got a huge amount of infighting among the Russian military leadership, and now the blame game has started to include these replacements. So Russia is struggling, but Russia still remains a dangerous foe and capable of great brutality, as we've seen with these mass graves outside of Izium. So we continue to take that threat seriously, and we continue to see our obligation being providing Ukraine all that it needs to be able to effectively defend itself and defend its country and defend its freedom. That's what we're intent on doing, and we are not taking our eye off the ball.
Vladimir Putin will carry out this annexation of eastern Ukraine within the next few days. If Russia is expanding its nuclear umbrella over this part of the country, does that put the U.S. in more direct conflict with Russia? And does a nuclear weapon being used there put Russia in conflict directly with the U.S. and NATO?
We have been crystal clear, up to and including President Biden, that we will not recognize these sham referenda. They in no way represent the will of the Ukrainian people. And we will treat this territory for what it is, Ukrainian territory, not Russian territory. And we will continue to support the Ukrainians as they seek to deoccupy this territory. So we've been clear, we're not going to stop or slow down our support to the Ukrainians, no matter what Putin tries to do with these fake elections and fake referenda and annexation. Now, when it comes to the question of nuclear use, President Putin's been waving around the nuclear card at various points through this conflict. The last few days are not the first time.
But he hasn't been as cornered as he is now.
It's true, and it is a matter that we have to take deadly seriously, because it is a matter of paramount seriousness, the possible use of nuclear weapons for the first time since the Second World War. We have communicated directly, privately, at very high levels to the Kremlin that any use of nuclear weapons will be met with catastrophic consequences for Russia, that the United States and our allies will respond decisively, and we have been clear and specific about what that will entail. We have, in public, been equally clear as a matter of principle that the United States will respond decisively if Russia uses nuclear weapons, and that we will continue to support Ukraine in its efforts to defend its country and defend its democracy.
Russia's been talking about this nuclear power plant rather than nuclear weapons just within the past 24 hours. Where does that fall? Is this an escalating threat?
So for your viewers, there is a nuclear power plant that is in Russian-occupied portions of Ukraine. It has been put into cold shutdown to make it less likely that there's some kind of catastrophic incident at the plant. it is actually still being operated by the Ukrainian operators who are essentially at gunpoint from the Russian occupying forces. And the Russians have been consistently implying that there may be some kind of accident at this plant. We've been working with the International Atomic Energy Agency and with the Ukrainian energy regulators to try to make sure that there is no threat posed by a meltdown or something else from the plant.
Jake, you're a busy man watching the world right now. There's a lot I want to ask you, but I have to ask you about Iran and these protests led by women after the death of this 22-year-old woman who didn't have her hair covered properly in the view of the morality police. She died. How significant is this, and is it making you reassess the offer you put on the table to lift sanctions on Iran in regard to its nuclear program?
Well, first, Margaret, the fact that we are in negotiations with Iran on its nuclear program is in no way impacting our willingness and our vehemence in speaking out about what is happening on the streets of Iran. We have in fact taken tangible steps to sanction those morality police who caused the death of Mahsa Amini. We've taken steps to make it easier for Iranians to be able to get access to the internet and access to communications technologies that will allow them to talk to one another and to talk to the world. So from our perspective, we will do all that we can to support the brave people, the brave women of Iran.
Right. I was asking you, though, about the offer to lift sanctions off of Iran in regard to its nuclear program, because that would allow for the regime to have a financial lifeline.
Well, I think it's important for everyone to understand that at the height of the Cold War, as Ronald Reagan was calling the Soviet Union the evil empire, he was also negotiating an arms control agreement with Russia. So that is what we're talking about here. We're talking about diplomacy to prevent Iran from ever getting a nuclear weapon. Okay. If we can succeed in that effort, and we are determined to succeed in that effort, the world, America, and our allies will be safer, and that will not stop us in any way from pushing back and speaking out on Iran's brutal repression of its citizens and its women. We can and will do both.
Okay. The U.S. has released intelligence about Russia's filtration centers that it is putting Ukrainians into, and estimate that hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian children are being taken to Russia. Does forcibly separating kids from their families constitute genocide?
We have all the information about filtration camps, isolation camps. People are being tortured with various means. They apply pressure, they torture with electric current, and so on. And apart from that, there's deportation. I can't say exact numbers. I don't want to lie. I want you to know all the truth. I can't say or confirm that hundreds of thousands of children have been deported because families have been separated. But it's absolute true that there are thousands of these children. We have confirmed that.
Offensive operations are more expensive than defensive operations. The White House is asking Congress for $12 billion more to provide to Ukraine. What do you need this money for? What is essential right now?
Thousands of people have been killed, raped, tortured. That's why we need this help to deoccupy our territories to make sure that more people survive. I don't think that this is the highest price in the world to save thousands of lives. We're very thankful for HIMARS and other MLRSs that give us an ability to conduct our offensive. Our army sees the initiative cuts the technical capabilities of Russia. Second, artillery. Artillery helps us to save the lives of our warriors, our fighters. They need an opportunity to get supplies of tanks from the United States as well as Europe. If the US will be able to show its leadership and will be able to get the tanks, then Germany and other European countries will follow. I think if we get tanks from the US, European allies will also help us to deoccupy Ukrainian cities with tanks, air defense systems. We absolutely need the United States to show leadership and give Ukraine the air defense systems. I want to thank President Biden for a positive decision that has been already made, and to the US Congress, we received NASAMS. It's the air defense systems, but believe me, it's not even nearly enough to cover the civilian infrastructure, schools, hospitals, universities, homes of Ukrainians.
Can there be stability in Europe if Vladimir Putin remains in power?
No,
No?
I don't have anything to add. My opinion is no. We have observed this over the years. We don't see stability.
Mr. President, thank you for your time today. I do want to ask before I let you go, you have kept Ukraine united during this war. Have you seen evidence that Vladimir Putin will now come and target you in this moment of desperation?
You are very right in saying that we are united. We have become even more united now than ever. I'm one of the targets. Of course, it goes without saying. It's not because of my personality, just because the president is a leader of their country.